Hi guys! Happy December 9th. Today I am recording one day early. So today is Saturday and usually I sit down and record on Sunday, but I am taking a certification test tomorrow and I figure that with everything going on Sunday this week that it's just a better idea to do it today. So I'm not going to have as much progress as I normally do because generally Saturdays and Sundays are the days that I get to knit the most. I get maybe a couple of hours on the weekdays, but Saturday and Sunday are the big ones. So it is, like I said, December 9th, and this is a knitting podcast. And if you're new, welcome. And if you're a returning viewer, welcome. I'm glad that you're back. We like to talk about knitting and especially sweater making here. I also crochet and machine knit, although I haven't done that in, I'm gonna say, quite a while now. So I need to get back to it. But this time of year is not good to just decide to pick up new things because there are so many things that are going on. It all kind of like stacks over each other. Next week we have a pretty big software release going out. We have a pretty big release going out for work and it's just a lot going on. So that in combination with, holidays and holiday advent knitting, which I have been keeping up with, spoiler alert, and my son asking for a new sweater and my daughter wanting a mermaid tail, and the kids have like extracurricular activities, like so much this time of year. We've had band concerts and we've got Christmas musicals and we've got banquets and just all the things. So here's hoping that December leaves us all in one piece. But okay, so mainly this okay, you're gonna hear the train, I'm sorry. Okay, so mainly this week I have been working on a flax for my son and the Daft Days Cardigan. I believe it's by Rebecca Clow. And I have been using that to use my advent that I bought from Blackbird Sycamore Yarns, and I love how it's coming out and I love the pattern so far. It has just been so much fun to open up every day and just see what the next color is and see how it's going to fit in with the cardigan that I'm working on. And this particular project reminds me how much I love just taking a small goal. In this case, it would be knitting two color stripes every day and just working on it over a set amount of time. It is something to look forward to every day. It's manageable in this case. Eventually, once I get farther up along and I split, because you work bottom up, so once I get far enough along to split, it's going to probably be a little bit harder to keep up with every day. And we'll deal with, we will not borrow trouble. We will deal with it when we get to it. I have also been working on a flax sweater for my son. And he has been asking for this. And so last week when I showed it to you, I had just split for the sleeves. So after I split for the sleeves, I basically continued working with the yarn ball that I had until I ran out of that yarn, so I didn't have to cut anything. And then I picked up and I started on the sleeves. So I've got one complete sleeve here. Now for his size, which is an adult extra small, I have 7 decreases every 7th row. So, and and you knit straight for 7 inches. So it's really easy to remember. So this sleeve has 7 decreases, and once I got to the end, I just knit some twisted ribbing. And I really love how soft this yarn is. This yarn is Cascade Arrow. It is merino, baby alpaca, and nylon. The yarn consists of basically a tube, and it's very, I want to say pliable. If I were to pull it, I could definitely break it. So this cardigan that I'm wearing here is knit with a yarn from Hobbii called Pearly Haze. This is also a chainette tube. Let me see if you can see. I really love this yarn. I finished this. This is See You There by Joji Locatelli. I finished it somewhere between August and October-ish. No, it wasn't August. It was September, October, around there, for the Joji Locatelli make-along. Contrasting with this chainette tube and the chainette tube I used for See You There, I could not pull this one apart. So this is closer to like a roving tube, but I really do like it. It's very pleasant for me to be able to knit with like a tube. Another high five. I don't know what I'm trying to say. Another high, awesome, happy thing about the chainette tube is that generally I am knitting with fingering weight yarn, and this is Aran weight. So this classifies as Aran weight. This is the second sleeve. Now, I just did the 6th decrease for this one. So I have one more decrease left on this sleeve, and then all I have left is, I think I did 7-ish. I'll have to count to make sure. I think I did maybe 7 to 10 regular stockinette rows before I started the ribbing. Now, once I get that done, all I'm doing basically is just knitting down the body and then picking up the collar. It's a great pattern, and like I said, it's adult, extra small. My son is going on 13 in January, so he will, this will fit him perfectly. It might be, well, no, the other one wasn't too big, but when I made him, if you take a look at an episode or two, I would say 2 or 3 episodes ago, I was working on an adult extra small for him, and the yarn was closer to between probably, I would say like a light worsted. So this is going to be a little bit bigger than the other one, which is fine. I made it with the intention that he was going to be wearing it with his school uniform, and since it's solid color, he can. And he was the one who picked out the yarn from my yarn stash, and he's super excited about it. Last night we were watching Ace Ventura. My husband and I were watching Ace Ventura, and he had come into the room and he was just watching the clips with us. By the way, we only turned on the movie because it was a silly movie and we both haven't seen it for like ever. I've probably not seen the whole movie. My husband's 3 years older than me, so the movies that we both saw like in the 90s growing up, he remembers better than I do. So he still remembers like some of the script, and I can't even remember like the plot line. But anyways, so when I told him last night, as he had come into our room to see Ace Ventura, I'm like, I'm almost done with your sleeve, and he was like, yes. So he's super excited about that. And I don't know if you can tell, but so generally I try to knit the sleeves before I finish the body. So I have a teeny tiny rubber band around this needle Just like one of the small tiny plastic ones I used to put in my daughter's hair when she was just a little thing. And I just keep them around there so that the stitches aren't going to fall off. Most of the time it works okay, but I love my Chaya Goo needles, but I still have issues tightening the needles and getting them not to unscrew. And I know I have the little key, but the key and my hands just don't do well together. So I know that they have like the big, the tools that have like the key on it to where it's easier to hold, and I really need to look into getting one of those. So hopefully sometime in the new year I can. But I'm excited to finish this, and I'm even more excited for it to be finished for my son because, like I said, he can't wait for it. But this has been my knitting. Whenever I have, you can actually see exactly how much sleeve I have left. So this has been my knitting whenever I finish with the advent calendar knitting for the day. Now, the advent calendar has been such an awesome experience, and you know, I love the idea of advent calendars, but I dislike the idea of having a lot of yarn that I have no idea what to do with. So I really like the idea of opening one, or not even opening, using one color at a time and working through that color, and at the end of the month or set period of time, however long, you have something that you can use. And to me, that's a great approach with life, right? So when you take a look at a goal that you have, and it could be whatever goal you want, that just like whatever, just you could take a look at a goal that you want to accomplish, and you could break it apart into teeny tiny pieces and just slowly work towards it. And sometimes it might not be possible, but it's definitely a lot more approachable if you break down a goal, you know, just a bit at a time. Whenever I was in and out of the hospital, I was in and out of the doctors all this year. And sometime this year, I had to go get my blood drawn. And we go to the lab that's by our house. There are lots of labs by our house, but we go to one of the labs that are by our house. And there's always a huge line. And I always feel very badly for the people that work there that have to check us in, that have to draw the blood. And I was talking to one of the ladies that was drawing my blood, and I'm like, wow, you guys have a ton of people here, because you can make an appointment online or you can just walk in. So I make my appointments, but some of the people that walk in have like an hour of wait time. That's why I make my appointments. And then she goes, yeah, it can get overwhelming, but I try to deal with everything like 1% at a time. So just try to get 1% of it done and then another percent. So I really like that approach. But anyways, enough blabbering, I guess. This is my cardigan so far. I love it. So if you count the stripes, you are going to have 9 of the colored, I guess I would call them rain. They look like a sun's. It's so pretty. Oh man. I love this color scheme. I cannot wait to see where this goes. It reminds me of like a sunset so far. I showed my husband, because I show him like all the time. I'm like, look. And I go, these are awesome colors. These are awesome. He's obviously not as excited as I am about the process. I mean, he's excited in the fact that like he loves me and he's excited that I'm happy that what I'm doing is making me happy, but I'm sure you understand. Just sometimes people who are close to us appreciate appreciate how something affects us, but don't really have the same, that thing doesn't really have the same effect on them. Anyways, this is the Daft Days Cardigan. And like I said, you start from the bottom up. So that's the bottom ribbing. And eventually we will be splitting for the front and the back. Here, let me see if I can position this just a little bit better, because I was looking at it this way earlier too. I don't know if that's going to be possible, but I will try. No, it's not as nice as it came out in my head when I laid it on the bed, but you can kind of see, and there will be a button band right here with this dark color. It's so much fun. I really like the idea of the mystery, but part of me is very scared as well because, you know, that's a lot of trust to put into yarn dyers to, you know, because the color choices and color loves, and they're just all different, and they're all, it all depends on like the person. Beauty is relative, right? So what somebody thinks is beautiful, someone else might not think is beautiful. So it's definitely worth doing research to see if you like the yarn dyer's style and colors and things like that. I've been a big, huge fan of Blackmore Sycamore yarns for a very long time, and I was really happy when she offered this Advent this year. It made my December, right? Because this is the project that I'm working on. Look at it this way too. That would also make such a pretty sweater. Let me see what I can tell you about this. So the pattern wants me to knit for a specific number of inches before I split for the sleeves. Now, if you take a look at the pattern picture on Ravelry, which I'll insert up here, it is a cropped sweater. Now, well, a cropped cardigan. Now, I'm not sure if I want this one to be cropped or not. And the reason is because I want to be able to include as many of the color stripes as possible. So I'm thinking that I will take a look at the pictures on Ravelry and see how many stripes are after the front and back split, basically the armholes. And I will subtract it from the number of color stripes that I have in the Advent, and then try to knit as many of those as possible before I break for sleeves, or maybe leave like one or two just as insurance, basically. We'll see where we are. I'm really hoping to incorporate as many of the colors that come in the Advent as possible. I am going after this to be knitting the sleeves with the Advent colors, and let's see, each stripe, so each color stripe takes about half of the skein of the mini, and I hold them double. So every time I open a mini, I wind it up into two separate balls of 10 grams each. And then I hold it double, and at the end I have about half left. Now, I'm not sure what that means for sleeves. I know I'll have enough, but I don't know what I'll do with the Advent after. I will probably wind up each individual ball and weigh them, and then maybe see if there's enough left to give away, because I won't be using the Advent anymore. I've got my son's flax, and after the flax, I'm going to be concentrating mainly on my daughter's mermaid tail because I'm hoping that I can get that done by Christmas. You know, it's December 9th. How is it December 9th? Like, is it just me, or does it seem like sometimes time goes so slow and sometimes like you blink and half of a month is gone? So since it's December 9th, December 6th was 1 month since my surgery. That's so crazy, right? Anyways, she's also looking forward to her mermaid tail blanket, but I'm not going to show it to you because I haven't done much on it this week. Like I said, this week has been absolutely crazy. Not only have the kids had a ton of extracurricular activities, but I've also decided that I'm going to study and take a certification test for an beginner entry-level AWS cert, and I've been studying every free moment that I get. And my test is next week. So for the last, 3 to 4 weeks, I haven't read much in the way of books. That's going to be changing soon, kind of, because once I get done with beginner cert, I'm going to try to work on the professional. Is that what they call it? Beginner, advanced, professional, maybe? The middle tier. There's 3 tiers for developer. I'm working on the first one. Next, I'm going to work on the second one. I think I'll stop after that because the third one involves DevOps, and I want to be, I'll hold everything I'm saying. I don't know yet. So I'll just withhold my judgment until later. I don't know if I want to get the third one or not. Let's leave it at that. So after my daughter's mermaid tail is done, I am planning on making a couple of hats for the kids. Now, if you've heard of Jimmy Bean's Wool Friday, they basically reinstituted their wool watcher for, I think, that week. I only paid attention to it for the weekend, but it's basically a spot on their website where they have rotating deals, and the deals go for like 10 minutes or something like that. And it could be just random skeins of yarn that are a really good deal. So I ended up getting a couple of bulky yarns, and I'm excited to try one of them. And I cannot remember the name of one of the yarns, so I'll put it down here. But one of them, I believe, was Malabrigo, and it's basically a roving that has like a nylon thread like crisscrossed around it. So it looks really cool, and I had just wanted to try it. And since it came on the Wool Watcher and it was like 40 to 50% off, I'm like, that's a pretty good deal. But the only other thing that I really, really plan on knitting is the friend to friend. And that is basically, I know I've been saying this for like at least since before my surgery. I've been saying I want to knit this, and I have started it, but I keep putting it down because I keep getting like sweater requests and then Advent, and then, you have to push back the other stuff because your son asked for another sweater. But anyways, the friend to friend is basically like a shoulder warmer, and it's super pretty, and I really like it. And I have some of the yarn that the pattern calls for, and I have it in a couple of different colors. So I'm hoping that I can make a couple of them and then gift them to anyone that wants them. I can just keep them in a gift closet until somebody says that they want one. But I really do think that they're pretty. And I will, of course, keep like one for myself. But I mean, how many do you need of something? So that's also something I'm thinking of doing for hats because my kids only need so many hats. So I'm thinking of starting some sort of gift basket to put just hats in for when their friends come over or somebody needs a hat. That way I can just grab one from there. I would love to donate them, but I will donate them, and I have a box of donatable hats, but I either need to knit more in acrylic or crochet more in acrylic, which is fine, or I need to find a charity that will accept natural fibers because I don't want to donate superwash wool or regular wool and have them felt because that would be cruddy for somebody who gets a hat that they really love and they don't know that they can't wash it, and then there's this whole thing. It would make me feel awful. So I do have acrylic that I use to make hats, but I knit hats with like all the things. So I just need to figure out, I guess, a better approach and who I can give hats to or just something like that. But I mean, that's pretty much it for the knitting. Like I said, this week and probably all of December is going to be crazy. It's Saturday today, so it's right in the middle of the weekend. And I haven't been reading any books. I've been watching videos on AWS and different terms and different things that I need to know for the certification test. I am at this point severely overstudied, but that's typically how I approach certifications and tests in general. I'd rather overstudy than have the possibility of understudying, and it would like make me very sad if I ended up failing. So I like to make sure that there's a good chance that I'll pass. How's that? No new books. We finished watching, let's see. So I didn't mention it, but last weekend we watched the movie The Meg. And if you know about this movie, it's basically about a prehistoric shark. Maybe I did mention it. I don't know. But we just watched it because it was silly, right? So last night we finished watching Awake, which was I don't know. It was, I guess towards the end, they kind of say that it was from a solar flare, but it messed up like everybody and now nobody can sleep and they just start like slowly degrading. Well, not slowly. They're very quickly degrading and it's just a thing. The ending was interesting, but I started noticing throughout the movie that it was more of an, I want to say allegory, and I don't know if that's the right word, but it showed how the mother was basically losing control of everything. Like she was losing control of her kids. It was interesting. And then after that, we turned on Ace Ventura because there's only so many heavy movies you can watch before you have to watch something just ridiculous. And Ace Ventura definitely is ridiculous. I mean, you get exactly what you expect, which is just silliness. My son has never seen it. My daughter has never seen it. And she's been asking to watch Christmas movies lately. And, you know, I looked last weekend for a Christmas movie for her on Netflix, and I couldn't really find one that I wanted to watch with her because I'm not too into like Hallmark romance movies. It's just not my thing. So eventually we settled on watching the Powerpuff Girls Christmas special, and she had never seen Powerpuff Girls before, and she was like super excited after it. And the next morning she wanted us to print out like a Powerpuff Girls picture in black and white so that she could color it in with her crayons, and she was very excited about that. She kept going on and on about how cute Bubbles was. Now, I love this in that I used to watch Powerpuff Girls like in middle school, high school, around there. So I love whenever my daughter or my son stumble across a series or a show, something that I used to do when I was, or watch when I was little. A big one has been Pokemon. They love Pokemon. I used to love Pokemon. I mean, obviously I don't mind it now, but I don't go crazy over it because like I grew up kind of, and I don't have time to watch Pokemon episodes all the time. But still, things like that make me happy. Another one was Sailor Moon. My daughter really likes Sailor Moon. In fact, my son is gonna kill me, right? But like when he was really little, he watched Sailor Moon too and he loved it. Inuyasha, another one. Dragon Ball Z, just all these shows that we watch together as a family that I used to watch when I was little, or my husband used to watch when he was little, and now my kids are watching it when they were little, and that makes me super happy. So other than that, there's nothing new. Like I said, no new books this week. Well, there's one new book this week. That's not going to be of interest to anyone except me. This is Adaptive Code, Agile Coding with Design Patterns and Solid Principles. This is basically a workbook that I got to pick up to read. It's just on software design patterns using C#. So that's not very interesting to anyone outside of like a work function, or maybe they want to pick up software development on the side, but it's not like a Gone Girl book or like a fiction happy or sad book. I will probably be pushing off the fiction books for just a little bit longer so I can get more of a footing on some work development that I want to do, such as with this book and some of the certifications. I feel like there's only so much time in the day, and just I need so we have 24 hours in every day. I need about an extra 10 hours. So if we could just move days to 34 hours long, but we still only have to work 8, that would be great. I've mentioned to my husband before that we definitely need 4-day work weeks, and he definitely agrees with that, obviously, but we both don't think it's gonna happen anytime, unfortunately. I love this. I'm so happy with this. So I don't know if I mentioned it, one more knitting thing before I leave, but each stripe, and so one color stripe and one black stripe, this together takes about 2 hours a day. So I'm not going to think about how many hours I've put into this already, but you can tell I'm on day 9. Don't think too hard. I don't want to hear. Don't put it in the comments. It's always hard to, it's hard to look back on things and say, hey, just these color stripes took me about this many hours. And, it's a beautiful sweater, but it's hard. It's a lot of work. People don't realize how much time and effort crafting of all different kinds takes. Okay, so anyways, I am glad that you stopped by, and I am glad that I am keeping up with my advent calendar, and I should hopefully be done with my son's flax sometimes in the next week or 2 weeks. And hopefully we all get through December with calm, zen happiness, and I will see you guys next week. Thank you. Bye.